This is the Dallas Prospect Live with DDP. Every legend was once a prospect. The Dallas Prospect is funded by viewers like you through Patreon and PayPal. To support the show, visit patreon.com/the Dallas Prospect or become a member by clicking the join button. Now let the show begin.
What's up, everybody? This is Darreck Kirby back again, joined as always by my friend Enyi and Duca. We are here talking Mavericks basketball. Enyi, how are you doing tonight?
Man, I am doing fantastic. Good weekend I had, especially because the Mavs won, because we didn't have Cowboys football. So if the Mavericks lost that game, would have greatly affected the outcome of my weekend. So I'm happy we got what we got.
Yeah, if it was a repeat of Thursday night's opener, that would have been really difficult to do.
And it looked like it was about to be that for a good chunk of that game. So.
No, absolutely. And there are definitely things I'm a little bit concerned about with this team, not the least of which is I think the offense it's a new system, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried they might be tinkering a little bit too much with it. The floor spacing is atrocious. They made some adjustments in the second half against Toronto, which helped. But the floor spacing is like the staple this team's offense was built on the last couple of years when it was a top 10 or even the most efficient offense in NBA history. And now it's like, okay, so I think we're a middle of the road defense. And if the offense suddenly goes from being top 10 to middle of the road or worse, how do you feel about that? Like, that doesn't bode well.
It's not a good look. Especially what we're working with. There's no reason why we have the guys that we have, and we have the I guess what I mean by that is, we have KP, we have Luka, we have guys who are capable of being efficient from the 3-point, but we still, the lack of spacing is destroying us. And like we said, we were 2 games into it, so we don't want to be overly I guess
critical in this case.
Critical and everything.
Time to work things out.
Yeah. Because here's the thing: most Mav fans like myself, we've watched the Mavs on a level that we haven't watched the other teams, right? And we've been, I don't want to say, I guess lucky to the fact that we've been watching the same system for the last 13 years. So we kind of went into the season knowing to expect. Watching the Rick Carlisle, I can almost predict what lineups he was going to go with, no matter what, people were rolling out, especially in the mid 2010s when we were literally turning over, our whole roster every year. And regardless of who was coming in, because we knew that coach so well, we could almost predict what the starting lineups would be, and be fairly good at it, except for the one instance where he threw in Courtney Lee or something. But we're still pretty good at it. But now we're rolling with Jason Kidd. I know he played with us. He had 2 stints with us, but coaching wise, he is still new blood. There's going to be stuff that we're going to have to get used to. There are differences that we're watching, and as of right now, there's cause for concern. However, like we said in the title, we're only 2 games in. Hopefully, changes will be made.
I expect they will. I mean, they're going to have to figure some things out. Like you said, the offensive system is different. The coaching style is different. And this is kind of what I kept talking about before, where I said, we keep hearing how loose the team is going into the season, and that's great. But how are they going to respond to adversity? Well, that opener in Atlanta was a buzzsaw, and they basically ran into it straight on with their faces. Played right into what Atlanta was trying to make them do. How do you feel about the starting lineup that we've been seeing here?
It's not exactly what I envisioned. I definitely envisioned KP at the 5, Dorian 4, Reggie 3. I think that would make a lot more sense. But I guess we're trying to acquiesce to KP's feelings of he wants to be a 4. And I mean, I don't know what it is, because we did have a lineup similar to that, and we still had a very efficient offense 2 years ago. I think the Lucas second year, we did start off, even though Dwight went down, but before Dwight went down, we still had a very efficient offense.
Yeah.
Very top tier offense. But I think now it could be the fact that everyone knows Luka is who he is now, that as soon as he makes his move towards the basket, whoever's guarding Dwight is like, Dwight be damned, I'm going in to help whoever needs the help guarding Luka. And Dwight's not a threat at the 3, and it's killing our spacing. And of course, we're trying to incorporate more post up, which I'm probably one of the few Mavs fans who is in favor of the post ups, because of what it can be and what it can turn into.
Even with the guys we have.
With the guys we have, well, mainly Kristaps. There's one thing mechanic that he needs to change. He needs to, if there's a way he can raise his release point, that would be very good for him. But for the fact of, if he can get better at posting up, it can do wonders for the offense. We wouldn't have such a large, because last year in the playoffs, I mean, we had our stints where we were rolling offensively, but we also had our times when we would go, 3-4 minutes without putting up any baskets. And, that was one of the things that, Dirk and Tim Duncan were so good at. When the game got out of hand, we just kind of slowed things down, simplified it. Dirk, Tim, KG go in the posts, and KP is not like that. But if we can have proper spacing, because we try to do that with Luka, post him up, and we all know Luka can post up. He's actually fairly good at it. But the problem is, he had Dwight, who is probably a couple steps away from the other side of the block. So this guy is like, I don't care about where Dwight is. He's basically shading over to help out Luka. So the spacing definitely needs work. We definitely need to tinker and make sure things are running more efficiently.
Sure.
The idea I can agree with. The execution is ass right now. That's
yeah, to put it modestly.
Yeah.
So the floor spacing is a big problem, and part of it is the first 2 games they're not finishing well in the pick and roll. The roll man is not getting a lot of looks, and it's largely because of that floor spacing. There's times where, as they're running the pick and roll, you have Jalen Brunson or KP or someone diving down towards the basket, and it's clogging everything up. It's clogging the passing lanes. So you have like 3 lob attempts on the year to Dwight Powell. And that's just not, like, if you're going to have Powell out there, you have to space the floor so he can do that. Otherwise, like you said, he's not a threat, and teams are going to sag off of him to mess up Luka's spacing and to try and make life difficult. And then there's been several possessions, and it even carried into that first half of the Toronto game as well, where the Mavericks floor spacing makes no sense. They have all 5 guys above the arc, above the elbow extended, and there's no one in the weak side corner as they're running pick and roll action at the top with like Dodo and Luka.
And that's Luka's like bread basket of assists.
Yeah, it's the easiest thing. It's like, what are you doing floor spacing wise? Like, you have a strong side pick and roll with Luka and Dodo, and on the other side you have, I think it was Brunson and KP both like camped out of the 3-point line, but they're so close together, and then the other side is completely empty, and you're like, what is this spacing? Toronto has basically they're guarding everyone without putting any effort forth.
Yeah.
And things like that is such a big deal. Like, we can talk as much as we want about the offense with Carlisle and its issues the last couple seasons, where playoffs, like you said, they'd hit dry spells, and it would basically be like, oh, I don't know, can Luka bail us out? Sometimes he could, sometimes not. But at the very least, it knew how to space the floor and work to our strengths. Through a small sample size, and again, they made adjustments in this, very, very small. But at least in the second half, they made some adjustments, and Hardaway got cooking, and Luka got cooking, and so they were able to dig it out of the fire a little bit. But there are still issues, I think, that you see there. And Tim Cato had a good piece in The Athletic today, kind of breaking it down. And it just shows like the kind of inefficiency of a lot of what they're trying to do offensively. I mentioned like the pick and roll action with Luka and Dwight, how when Dwight had value offensively, it was because of the spacing. But if you're not going to have the spacing, then he's a detriment out there.
Yeah.
And, you said earlier, like with Dwight starting, like that it was more about KP wanting to be a 4. But before the season, Kid said that he asked Luka, Hardaway, and KP who they wanted to start at 5, and all of them said Dwight. So I understand that, but I also think those guys go in saying like, hey, this is, we've been efficient with Dwight in this case, and this is how he's been utilized. But then you get in and you're like, oh, well, if we're not going to use him like that, then maybe we need to rescind this a little bit. Call it a recall election or something.
And I look, don't get me wrong. I like the fact that he asked for input. But at some point you have to be like, okay, now it's time for me to start coaching and start putting ourselves in position to be successful. So I have to move Dwight off the floor. I have to possibly bring in somebody else, bring in a Jalen Brunson, bring in a Reggie Bullock, which is another issue. Is that's supposed to be our prize acquisition in the offseason. He's barely getting any playing time. I think he's better served to probably play with a guy like Luka because he has such a quick release. And Luka is so strong with his passes that he can get that ball there faster.
Right.
Not only accurate, but faster than most people, probably outside of LeBron. But that could be a weapon that we can utilize, with Luka and having proper spacing. But for some reason, he's playing 16 minutes a game.
So he was away from the team like in the week leading into the season for a little stretch there. He's played 15 minutes and 17 minutes. The first 2 games, he had only 1 point against Toronto on 0 of 3 from the field and 1 of 4 for 3 points in the Atlanta game. So
and he hit his first one. I was like, oh, he's about to get cooking. But yeah, no.
I mean, I agree. I'd like to see him get a lot more minutes. And I saw Kidd was. Let me put it this way: I'm not a huge fan of Jason Kidd press conference Kidd right now. Everything is either him trying to make the cringiest joke ever that no one laughs at, like, "Oh, can you tell us about what happened in that Atlanta game?" Well, we were asking them if the officials if the rims were regulation size because we thought they were a little small. And then he reads the room, then realizes no one's laughing, and then he's like, "But seriously, we've made some adjustments." But like it's like every press conference, there's 1 or 2 moments like that, and it's like, dude, just talk to us. You don't have to be cutesy, like ho. Hey,
I noticed that he came in a little cornballish when he was initially announced as his coach, and it was just like, what? I mean. I guess he's a change of pace from Carlisle, who like was very standoffish with the media and very like off-putting. But and Kidd is more. I guess he wants to have that persona as he's more personable, especially with after the stories of him being.
That's what I was gonna say. It feels like overcompensating.
Yeah, exactly. Him being an ass back in Milwaukee and in Brooklyn. But
I would say his response to the Reggie Bullock question. From Nick of Locked On Mavs asked him after the Toronto game and the Zoom call and everything about Bullock's minutes, and he basically said his first part of the answer was fine. The like, he was away from the team for a little bit. It's just 2 games. We're still figuring things out. But then which
is normal, by the way. That is normal for teams to fill out, figure out rotation. So
yeah, but then he takes it into a little bit of like a weird place where he's kind of like. How many minutes do you think he should play? And like 24, 27? I'm just sorry that you thought he should be playing more. And it's like, all right, it's a valid question. You don't have to be a dick about it, and I've heard some people say like, oh, well, if Popovich or Steve Kerr said that, you guys would love it. And I'm like, those guys have like earned that right though. Like you can be a dick.
They've earned. Not only have they earned that right, but that's consistent with their. Yeah, you can't come in like we said. He came in a little cornbally, like, "Hey guys, how are we doing? Good to see everybody." And then you ask him a question.
They have this thing called text messaging, and that's
exactly. Yeah, he has.
I'm like,
he has his glasses on.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. So he came in all happy-go-lucky. He's on social media and stuff like that, and then he comes in, And then he acts really snarky. He was like, it's kind of like a change of pace. Like I think people like more consistency. No matter if you're a dick, be a dick, and then we will know how to navigate our way through that. But if you're gonna be a dick one day and then nice guy the other day, it was just like, all right, who we getting today?
Yeah.
So,
But the important thing for the Mavericks is they did make adjustments in the second half against Toronto. It was big. It wasn't just. I mean, yeah, the spacing was better, but they also were kind of bailed out by Hardaway getting absolutely
hot,
cooking
yeah.
in that second half. Hardaway has games like that where he just suddenly flips a switch and it's just like, all right, I'm an inferno now. Give me the ball. And Luka got going as well. So how many, let me see, what did Luka end up with in that game? I know he was
I think 27,
12,
13 or something like
yeah,
that.
27 points, 12 assists, 9 rebounds. He always is one rebound shy of a triple double, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
like he doesn't want to go into, he doesn't want to make people think he's what's it called? What are they stat pattern? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get one rebound away. Just letting y'all know I could get a triple double if I wanted to.
Sure, of course. Now he wasn't efficient shooting the ball in the night. 11 of 24, 2 of 10 from 3. Now his 2 threes that went in were ooh and ah from the crowd. Like, yeah, that's nice. He's 2 for 10.
Yeah.
Like it's a very impressive shot, but the percentage isn't there yet. Hardaway, meanwhile, 7 of 11 from 3, 9 of 16 from the field, 25 points. So this was his what he can bring to the table. When you have Hardaway dialed in and on, Mavericks are damn tough to beat, especially if you're going to get good KP, which I don't feel like we've gotten good KP. Now you got a double-double out of him with 18 and 10. Still 7 of 20, 2 of 9 from 3, so not really efficient shooting the ball either. But at the very least, 4 blocks. We're seeing good defensive KP.
We're seeing activity on defense, which is something that we definitely didn't get last year towards the end.
Not at all. And the fluidity with his movement, that crossover into the fade in the post. Oh, that is so sick. Like when I saw between that move and just how he's playing defensively, how much better he's timing and moving his jumps and blocking shots and everything, it's night and day compared to last season. And the more I thought about him defensively and how god awful he was defensively last year, coming into this year, I was like, I think we're going to see at least defensively speaking, what we saw the year prior, because he didn't have any chance to get healthy or right or in shape before last season even started. And so he was old man knees out there basically trying to keep up and everything. And he just got exposed again and again and again. So I was like, all right, defensively, I think he'll be good. If he's at least that, then he at least has value for us.
Yeah.
If the offensive game comes ever back around anything like it was from that stretch of January until the meniscus and the bubble, then Hardaway is firmly your number 3 guy, and you have a really good 1-2-3 punch. What can the rest of the team do? That's going to be the question.
Yeah. That's where we need a Reggie Bullock. That's where we need a Sterling Brown. I would like to see Frank Ntilikina get some burn. To see what he could offer. I know defensively, we're doing good defensively, but I know that a lot of our guys who are primarily defensive players are not getting a lot of burn, which is, it is what it is. Like I said, like we've been saying this whole dang video, it's only 2 games in, so hopefully those guys will end up getting more minutes, because I want those guys to get more minutes, because we're our team that needs some defense out there. If you guys can provide some adequate level defense and then able to hit your threes when called upon, then, we can be pretty dangerous, and we're towards the end of the season. But, I think I lost my train of thought. And that happens. Old man.
Yeah, it happens. Let me ask you this, a little bit of a pivot here. Do we have to start offering, because we acknowledge Atlanta is a good team. Like, getting to the East Finals last year was not a fluke. Their franchise actually made aggressive moves to build around their young star, unlike ours, which is frustrating as hell. I'm really, even with the change in the front office coming into this free agency period, I still felt like it was a lot of the same kind of moves we saw before, which makes you think like, oh, okay, so it's at the very top then. It's Cuban that's kind of dictating this. But if that's the case, it's like, okay, do we have to kind of acknowledge Atlanta might have gotten, even though we're really, 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 really happy with
With
Luka,
Luka, yeah.
do we have to acknowledge, because Cam Reddish dropped 20 on us as well. So
Mm-hmm.
they have Trae Young, who's not Luka, but he's damn good.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Reddish, and you have the fact that they also then benefited from their front office building aggressively around them. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, maybe at some point we have to kind of acknowledge that they came out a little better as a franchise because of that, because it is translating to free agent acquisitions and all of that.
Yeah, yeah, and we can say that. That's not that far fetched to say anymore. I know the homers in the Mavs land will be like, no, Luka's way, but he's the far better player. Therefore, we won the trade. However, if your team is better because you had extra, draft picks, you end up getting, a pretty skilled player who's also two way because he was giving, Lucas some fits here when he was guarding him. But here's another thing that we may need to acknowledge. And I don't know what it is about Dallas and bringing in free agents and stuff like that, but I'm not sure if it's the city.
There's something that's not appealing.
There's something.
Yeah.
There's something. And I have a thought, but I'm not sure if people are quite ready to hear it.
What,
I'm not sure.
White superstar?
I think that's a thing.
Okay.
I think that's a thing. And that's probably something later on I might have to dive deeper into. But it is.
I mean, I grant I don't have a counter argument off the top of my head. So
there's not.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, there's not. And Trae is some of the fact this is a white superstar is Trae and pretty much there's a lot of other players. They're more culturally relevant, regardless of how good Luka is. Like when you look at promotional material, I am seeing more Trae than I am Luka. Even though Luka he has a cover of NBA 2K. He has, some things, but I feel like a lot of the times when we see a commercial, when they highlight the whole league, right? And you're seeing like highlights from different players. And of course you'll see like your LeBrons, your Kevin Durant's and all that stuff. And it's like the only thing we see of Luka is him dapping up Paul George as he just lost in the playoffs. And it's like, this is supposed to be your guy when everyone leaves, but I don't think that's the case because he's not as culturally relevant.
I think worldwide he is, but
worldwide he is, but not in the state. Market, and then that's kind of, I don't want to say where it matters. I know you're trying to grow to a more global game, but I mean it is what it is. And with the players, that's what it plays big into. Because as fans because Luka is our guy, is like, imagine last year you had, and we're trying to keep it under 25 minutes, so please stop me if I'm running over. But imagine we have a guy like Kawhi Leonard, who I think Mark Stein at a point said that is not 100% that he was going to stay with the Lakers at a point in time, right? Clippers. Yeah, the Clippers, sorry. And it's like I said, Clippers. And then people are like, yeah, Kawhi can come here and be the number 2 to Luka. It's like, I mean, I get it, guys, but if Kawhi came to the Mavs, he will not be the number 2 to Luka. Like, we're talking about a 2-time.
Maybe you could get a 1-on-1A
MVP. Yeah, 1-on-1A. He's not going to be the sidekick, and that's the reason. That's pretty much the reason why he didn't go to the Lakers. He could have been LeBron's sidekick, but he didn't.
Hell, they were telling him he could be third fiddle, and that he would inherit after LeBron left in a few years.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds real tempting.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, how many titles do I already have? Yeah, I don't need you. Not when I can already play in the same freaking arena anyway.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think that does play a big role because there's no reason why Dallas will have such trouble gaining top tier talent if there is something else. Now, Luka is good, and we've had Dirk for 20 years, so we really don't know if that's really the case. I know Dirk was very respected, yet no one wanted to play with him. Darren Williams had a chance to play with him, but he chose Brooklyn after they traded for Joe Johnson.
Right. And that, if you recall, that was Mark Cuban doing the Shark Tank filming.
Shark Tank bull crap,
with
yeah.
Darren Williams, and Darren Williams
and that played
a huge factor in him not feeling like fully respected and appreciated.
Exactly. So, but imagine, it definitely. And then I think we need to acknowledge that Cuban may be getting in the way.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Dude, I've been on that bus for a while.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like, it doesn't come up a lot because you don't see the ways a lot of times in which he interjects.
He's not as bombastic as he used to be. That's probably why he's not coming up.
No, and he's not the quote unquote GM like Jerry Jones for the Cowboys. So for the Cowboys equivalent, you could see all the ways in which he was like making personnel decisions where you're like, that's just Jerry wanted to do this. You don't see that with Mark, but with a lot of these decisions, like I said, the fact that you changed over the entire front office and you even went out and got the Brooklyn Nets cap genius that got them Kyrie, Durant, and Harden all under one cap and still kept a damn good team built around them. And you wound up with Bullock. Like, Bullock's a nice player, but that's your big prize.
Yeah.
You told us that you were coming into this offseason knowing you needed a true number 2 and that you needed another guy that could handle the ball and create for the team. Then you backpedaled and said, like, well, we still got Luka, and hey, he's a pretty good point guard. Yeah, the point guard that you bashed, basically saying he needs to do more to get his teammates involved and be less selfish, more or less. So it's like you were saying that, and now you're trying to be like, haha, not really. It didn't really work out. So now we're gonna it wasn't the plan.
Yeah, he does a lot of that.
Right.
He's trying to be the salesman. He's trying to be the salesman for the Mavs, and then stuff doesn't work in the way he's planned it, so he has to constantly walk back, and it's not a good look.
Yeah. But you'll have that, and you'll have like, oh, well, this is the first time we have a max salary slot open. Oh, now don't get me wrong. 2 of these moves, good moves, essential moves. The new Luka deal, Tim Hardaway Jr. And then they're like, okay, and Reggie Bullock. And big shopping's done. I feel like you promised more than that.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, Goran Dragic would be a nice player. But even then, you promised more than that.
Yeah, he wouldn't be the difference maker as we all think he will be.
I mean, if you wanted like an aggressive move that I don't think would have made the team better, but it would have at least been a more aggressive move that showed that they were trying to do something, Lauri Markkanen might have been that. But I don't think it would have been a better move. I just think it would have been him at least sticking to his own it feels like it's bullshit. It feels like what you said with the salesman was him doing damage control. I feel like it's him selling the message in the first place.
Yeah.
I don't think he has the same hunger he had before they won a title. Like, you used to hear stories of him in the past where he would agonize even over preseason losses. He'd be pissed off about them. Now it's just like, I don't know, how much is the team worth? How many billions of dollars? Like, it doesn't seem like he has the same approach. They haven't paid in the salary cap tax.
He's not. He's not that.
The title.
Yeah, he's not that big of a spender anymore.
No.
And
he used
thank God he's not Robert Sarver, but
No. He used to go over that pretty regularly, chasing the title. He got it, and then he decided he was the smartest guy in the room, and their approach drastically changed. And you're like, dude, what if you hadn't pulled off the Luka trade? Where would we be? Like,
hopefully Michael Porter Jr. and Dennis Smith, but we wouldn't be as good. But I would be having a good time. But
and then you have other evaluation things like Desmond Bane wasn't even on their draft board.
Oh yeah, I heard. Yeah, that made me.
Stud.
I don't know if that's true. Who reported that, by the way, that he wasn't even on
Dalton.
I said Schultz. I'm stupid.
not Cowboys tight end.
Not the tight end.
Man, I'm blanking on his name. He writes for SI.
Trigg.
Yes, Dalton Trigg. I saw him talking about that.
That's a mistake. I would have taken Desmond Bane with the 18. I would have been ecstatic with him at 18.
And
that would have been my number one pick.
I'm just saying, like, we wound up with Josh Green.
Yeah.
Let me look at his performance.
That was
this year.
that was like, I remember
doing the opener, 2 points. And did I already close that tab? I might have already closed that tab. Here we go. Quality content here from me. Did not play coach's decision.
Exactly. On the year. Yeah. So I remember going into that draft and having a wish list. Like, I don't know if I ended up, I probably didn't post a video at all, but I think I had Josh Green as
Trent Jr. now kicks it over to Barnes.
Out of the 5 people, the video was 5 people I want to have at 18, and I think number 1 and number 2 was Sadiq Bey and Desmond Bain. And we had an opportunity to get both of them. If there's a way they could have sniffed out Memphis trading into the 30th spot, I don't know if there's something they could have done to prevent that.
Yeah, but I mean, you think about just the overall moves, and you're like, Tyrell Terry gone.
Yeah.
Josh Green barely cracking. I mean, not even cracking a rotation at this point. Barely cracking the court in year 2. He didn't do anything in summer league because he didn't do anything in summer league because he was on the Australian national team, not playing.
And I honestly still think he should have played, because he didn't play that much for the Australian team. I know he probably practiced or whatever, but it's like, look, dude, you still got a lot of growing to do. You haven't made it. There's no reason for him not to be participating.
Right.
Because he still looks like an athlete playing basketball instead of a basketball player. Fast guy, he can play defense, still can't shoot.
Yeah,
it's he can pass, but he's not. We're not playing him a point guard, and he's not initiating offense or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
I think you look at, for the Mavericks, we know that for like more than a decade, they just didn't give a crap about the draft.
And hopefully
give
we're not
attention to it at all. Other than the year that they got Josh Howard with the first round and then unsigned free agent Marquise Daniels. Other than that, they really, and that was 2003, really did not give any attention to the draft in the Cuban era. Had to give it some attention for 2017, Dennis Smith Jr. And you could say, hey, look, that's happening now. Like, I know he's in Portland. All the power to him in the world. I actually was interested in the reunion potentially. But that did not work out here at all. And like to the point where halfway into year 2, Carlisle's like, nah, I'm done with this. And then Luka, like if you don't hit on Luka, basically can't miss, who, if you want to give any attention at all to Harlebo, he wasn't even their top pick on the board. Like if they had gotten number 1, he claimed that they had, I think, Ayton still ahead of Luka on the board. So how interesting would that have been if that had worked out? Now, Ayton's a damn good player, but if you had not taken Luka, who you now champion or whatever, it's just a weird nature of it. I kind of look at it and I'm like, dude, they almost are lucky that it worked out, because you look at all of their other draft evaluating, a lot of their free agent evaluating, it's really bad. Like really bad. You look at some of these guys, they're not making moves on some of these trades they're not putting together, or guys they don't value.
Yeah, it seems like it seems like they're very not creative with their cap. It seems like they do stuff very straightforward.
And that's why the Brooklyn Nets guy was supposed to be so relevant, and then they would have been more vanilla.
Yeah, because every now and then, I think it was, I forgot which team it was, but it was like they will make moves, and people are on Twitter like, dude, how are you guys making these moves? Like, how you guys have the cap for all this? They find
Chicago,
ways to make it work.
Yeah, like that, just going nuts.
Miami, exactly. Miami every year. Exactly. They got Jimmy Butler before they said Jimmy Butler wants to come here, or they agreed to terms with Jimmy Butler. Then they made the moves that they needed to make to get to that cap space.
Yep.
But it's like, we try to have the cap space beforehand, and it's like, yo, like we've been trying to do this since 2012, my guy. Like it's something we need to change up how we do things. And I'm not sure, like people are following, like I just now followed the Vulgaris cat, but apparently he's been tweeting about, is it specifically the Mavs, or
it's a lot of Mavs, but
a lot of Mavs, or before he got with the Mavs, was he more NBA or was he more Mavs?
He was general. He was
general,
yeah,
but now that he has a connection to the Mavs, and he probably has a vendetta or
shooting
whatever.
his mouth off constantly about the
Yeah.
Mavericks. But
Yeah.
he talks NBA in general. He wants to
Yeah.
be a GM and thinks he can immediately be like one of the better GMs.
Mm-hmm.
Who was it?
But I remember.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, did he say something about it was basically Mark making the decisions and stuff like that? Or am I down hearing that stuff wrong? I haven't followed it.
Yeah, he said something to that effect where he basically said like, oh, I didn't have like the whole shadow GM narrative is stupid. I didn't have that much power. It's a open situation where Mark ultimately made the decisions that he wanted to, and at different times, different people had his ear more so. I just happened to be a very influential figure who, for a time, had a lot of sway. And we're like, that sounds like exactly what a shadow GM would say.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not as bad as I thought, but yeah,
What was it?
I mean,
man reported, he claimed on a podcast that during the 2 years we had Chandler Parsons had more input on the roster than Donnie Nelson.
I actually believe that.
I frankly do as well.
I think I remember hearing.
I think Mark literally looked at him recruiting Dwight Howard to Houston the year before and was like, he'll do the same for us, and that's why he was front and foremost in the DeAndre Jordan recruiting. And recruiting.
And I remember him. I remember a video. I think Mark Cuban posted probably in what's that app he had? Cyber. I was about to say Cyberpunk. Yeah, it was like, "Hey Wes, welcome to the team," and it was like him and Chandler Parsons. I'm like, okay, like cool. Yeah. Well, it is what it is. But yeah, some of the decisions that he makes is like literally, dude, you can pick somebody from Mavs Twitter that can give you better insight and possibly be better, choosing better prospects for you for what you guys. Because the Josh Green thing, I mean, God bless him. I'm sure he's a good kid, but us having Sadiq Bey available and you passing on him for reasons I don't even know why they passed on Sadiq. I remember hearing they didn't like Bane because of his wingspan. Well, I mean, okay.
Because it was in year one where they got real gung ho about long, lanky 3-and-D weapons.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. They have value, but when you see talent, you make a move on that talent.
Seth Curry trade.
And then
points in the first quarter the other night.
Yeah, I mean that one hurt. That one was like literally.
There's no one left. Moses Brown is all that's left of that, and that's an indirect move. That's a move from a move.
Yeah, that didn't even want to make initially. He just wanted to clear that cap.
Yeah, he was throwing.
I mean, but they're not even. Is he even active?
Moses Brown, he hasn't played.
Is he in street clothes?
I don't know if he's in street clothes, but he has not played yet this year. He's been a DNP both games.
I don't get that.
Cuban was talking about him again just recently. Of course, again, we said earlier, Cuban's going to be a marketer on everything. He's always going to tell you how much they
probably marketing him just to try to trade him.
Exactly, always going to tell you how much they love their young talent. Like, remember at Kid's introductory press conference, he made a point when someone said, like, someone asked about Josh Green specifically, and then Cuban made a point to say, like, oh yeah, we absolutely see him, and don't forget Tyler Bey, Tyrell Terry. Like, he made a point of listing off the other guys, and I'm like, flash forward, who's left?
not nobody.
One left. How many of them made it to opening night? Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
The Tyler Bey thing really sucks. I feel like they didn't even use him right. I think he should have been playing off ball.
Well, he's been cut from like 2 other teams since he left us. So there's at least
Oh, really?
Yeah, Chicago and Houston. The fact that Houston did it, that to me is more.
Well, isn't it something else that's wrong? I don't want to say wrong with them, but something. There's a reason.
Honestly, I don't know. It's not like the Tyrell Terry thing with personal issues, from what I understand.
Gotcha.
I don't know all the details. I don't know. I look at this and I'm like, okay, so you traded Curry for 1 year of bad Josh Richardson.
Oof.
And the pick
And
became Tyler Bay. And now Bay is gone. Richardson's gone. Moses Brown is all you have left. And you're not
Bay. Tyler Bay is the one who got cut from Houston and
Chicago.
Yeah. Not Tyrell Terry. Sorry.
Correct. Yes, correct. That's not what I was trying to imply.
No, I was talking about Tyrell Terry. He was not used correctly when he was here, in my opinion.
My volume is low, I am being told.
No. How many people are in the chat?
I don't know. Shout out in the chat. Where are you from? That's not the question. I'm just asking an unrelated question as I try to fix this.
Cool. Yeah. I think, and maybe a lot of this was probably on Terry himself, but I think he just tried to do too much. And my thing with second round picks is, if I'm a second round pick, I'm gonna get one attribute and be really good at that.
Yeah.
And that's how I'm gonna get on the floor. And then once I establish that I'm good at that one thing, and I establish that I can be on a team and probably play, then I'm gonna start rounding out my stuff. Tyrell Terry should have been like, look, I'm just gonna be a shooter, and then the whole league is gonna know I'm gonna shoot, and then I'm gonna go play off of that. But he tried to be a superstar or whatever, trying to be like 6'2", 160 pounds, trying to take it in on.
Hey man, he'll always have the weak side layup on Giannis.
Yeah, that's a freaking highlight that I will freaking keep if I was him.
Yup.
Make that an NFT.
Yeah, for sure. He probably owns it himself.
Yeah. Can't sell it.
How's my volume, guys? If I get closer to the microphone and lower the octave of my voice to something richer. Now it just sounds like I'm trying to seduce the chat.
Oh gosh.
But will it lead to donations?
Anything for the donations.
Yes, I am not above that. But yeah, so I would say early on for the Mavericks, I know we've been a little scatter shooting all over the place here, but we'll go into a little bit of a wrap up here. With the first two games, the floor spacing is very concerning. I think they're not even using Dwight. If you're gonna use Dwight, you got to use him differently than they are. You have to have the spacing for the pick and roll thing to even work. They're in, again, it's two games. It's a tiny sample size, but volume sucks. You suck. No, I'm kidding. I don't get it. I don't know what it is, but at this point, there's no fixing it in the wrap up. 2-game sample size, their performance. Also, keep in mind, my daughter's like one room over. There's a reason I'm in the dark. I'm hiding. I'm lurking in a cave. But, the 2-game sample size being what it is, they're in the bottom little chunk of the league as far as efficiency in the pick and roll, like the roller finishing in the play. So there's definitely things they need to work on, and it's good that they made some adjustments that at least allowed it to come to light in the second half against Toronto. So they got that win. That's great. They play Houston tomorrow night. They're 1-2. I don't know how they're going to do against Christian Wood. That's going to be a little bit of a concern for me. And Houston's got some nice young talent. They do.
You got some. If I'm Houston, I'll be excited about what I have.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And although they're at I can't talk. Although they're at the low point, it's still very entertaining basketball to watch. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot here. I was just gonna say, like, I wonder from the Mavericks' perspective how differently that Toronto game would have gone were it not for Hardaway catching absolute fire. Because I can't help but fear that we would be sitting here like, oh, we're 0-2. We're in a tough spot here.
Well, here's a question for you.
I don't know. How long did he sign? 4 years.
What's that?
What's what?
I can't say anything, so it's mute.
Well, I don't know. How long did he sign? 4 years.
Playing his audio though.
I can't hear it.
Son of a bitch. Audio source 4.
But anyway, here's my question: How
I legitimately opened that by accident, and I just saw it pop up, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta let this play."
That's funny.
No worries.
How open is Kid to making changes? Because remember back when it was Carlisle will watch the thing completely burn, and the whole Mavs Twitter go up in flames and tear each other apart before he's just like, all right, let me make a change or whatever. But I'm interested to see what, if any, changes our Kid. Is he going to make something 2-3 games in? That would be interesting. Because if it is, then that would be a welcome sight to see that he's open to making changes. He saw what he originally thought. Now we got to give him some grace too, because he is coaching a new team, new players or whatever. So he has to do a lot more tinkering than your normal beginning of the year. So we'll give him some grace. But if what we saw at game 1 in the first half of game 2 was to persist, and that is just not it, and underachieving, and hopefully if that continues, we're not giving Kid the same amount of grace that we gave Carlisle going 10 years without winning.
A playoff series.
That playoff series, yeah. So
that's what you
goes on.
Resist. Persists. So yeah. So anyway, Mavericks play tomorrow night, take on the Houston Rockets. We will try to get another post game out here. I think what we're going to do as well during the season, we're going to get probably a weekly video from Enyi, some kind of post game, or if you want to have kind of your own series of sorts, kind of like a quick ups and downs, whatever, what's trending, whatever for the Mavericks, go for it. But we're going to have more Enyi on the channel here as well. That'll help us bridge the gap well while I wrap up my last month and a half of college. And then we'll be back rolling in full.
Nice.
So yeah, but that's going to do it for our time here, guys. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in and for putting up with my apparently shitty microphone. So I will adjust the volume and whatever else I can do here.
What do they say? Is my volume good?
I don't know. Who cares?
Okay. You're right. Who does care?
But no, I think it's just mine. They're just complaining about mine. So I don't know. Who knows? I'll make some adjustment to the configuration tomorrow and see if that improves it for next video. I literally have changed nothing since last video, so I don't know why it's down. Maybe it's just literally me talking lower voice just because of my daughter nearby. So, but yeah, like the video, subscribe, comment, and always remember, every legend was once a prospect. Peace. Deuce.
All right, man.